All you need to know to start your day. Power Breakfast on Power 98.7.
The time is 8:15. You're on Power Breakfast with Tessa Dooms this morning. Jan De Villiers joins as his portfolio committee chair on public administration in Parliament. Jan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're looking here at a story around the public service and public administration needing to look at how they sort out the ghost employees problem that has emerged. What is the status of ghost employees in the public service at the moment?
Good morning to yourself and good morning to your listeners. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I think you've got to the core of the question because at the moment we don't know. So what we do know is that where there has been isolated audits to search for ghost workers, like at PRASA, like at Mpumalanga Department of Education and Gauteng Department of Health, many ghost workers have been found. In the Gauteng Department of Health, up to 230 ghost workers have been identified. After PRASA was done with their exercise at looking at their payroll, they identified 20 million rand a month of ghost employee salaries being paid. So, to be quite frank, this is exactly the problem. If these isolated audits for ghost workers revealed these results, then surely if you take into account that government is national government, it's provincial government, it's municipalities, it's state agencies and state-owned entities, then we suspect the fraud of ghost workers is big and that there must be a national push. And that's why we've welcomed the announcement by the Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwana, that there will be a joint venture between the DPSA, the Department of Public Service and Administration, and Treasury to set national standards and do a national audit throughout government to find these ghost employees.
Yeah, Sweetie on X, one of our listeners, asking that question, what happened to the ghost workers at PRASA? And so you're saying that part of the intervention is not just looking at government departments that are inside, or entities that are inside government department, but also the state-owned entities where government has either full shares or part shares in those. There's so much that needs to be looked at in terms of ghost workers, even in the city of Joburg. But what is the process that the minister has announced here? People are having to come to the offices to report to work so that they can trace ghost workers. Is this just kind of a roll call that will be done? What's the real forensic process behind it?
That's a very important question, and that's really what, as the Committee for Public Service and Administration, the question we've asked, and it's really not been answered, and it is what we will do our oversight on. It's one thing that the minister has announced that they will be doing ghost audits, but as a committee, we would like to know how they're going to do it. Yeah. What we've seen worldwide, because it's interesting, ghost workers is actually a global phenomenon. It's not isolated to South Africa. Elon Musk was actually in the news when he took over Doge in the United States, about how many ghost workers he found in the US. So it's a global problem, and it is solved by both old school tactics and new modern methods. So the old school tactic is you need to report to work. So you send an email to your employees in your department and you say you need to come and verify that you exist, otherwise your next salary will not be paid, which is obviously one of the best ways to do it. But that's let's call it a moment in time solution, because you could easily then after that just load the system again with ghost employees. So the sustainable way to solve for this problem is using technology. Technology must be employed. Digital transformation must happen in the human resource management systems of government, and that is something which we've heard this committee is being done. So that physical identifications, bank details, can be verified, specifically to see if there are people in government who are earning more than one salary, because that's one of your key indicators. How can someone be earning more than one salary? And that is, I think, what technology can help us achieve.
Maybe a little AI here and there. Joshua from Pretoria, you want to join this conversation. Welcome to Power Breakfast. Joshua.
You know, Tessa,
Yeah.
the person who receives this salary is not a ghost.
Yeah.
Why is it so difficult to go to the bank, identify the account holder or where this ghost salary is landing and arrest the person? Why is it so difficult? You know, Tessa, when I was still a prosecutor, we had 150 ghost prosecutors. You know, the matter, was investigated according to how I'm suggesting now. The money was followed. They followed the money, and the culprits were arrested.
Yeah, so you're saying just follow the money, and at the end of it, there is going to be a human being, and so the process shouldn't be complex.
And it will take one day to follow the money. It doesn't take many years.
Well, given the number of ghost employees or the scale of what they think the problem might be, there may be more than one day required there. But thank you so much, Joshua, for raising that one. Milton from Hatfield, you also want to join this conversation.
Hi, Tessa, and your guest. You know what? I think like the issue of ghost employees, it goes much more deeper than we actually think. Why?
Oh, Milton, your line there is crackling. Do you want to try that one again? Maybe just step aside somewhere and then just try again. Hi, Milton. All right, we're not getting much joy there from Milton, but also asking about the biometric approach and why we're not using biometrics for clocking in and clocking out. Is it as simple as that? So Jan De Villiers, Portfolio Committee Chair, just give us a sense of why you think that these very simple tools, tracking the money and tracing the money in terms of payroll or biometric systems, have not been used yet, and if they might be part of the process that's being proposed.
So I just firstly want to welcome the remarks that I think that your first caller's name was Joshua, that Joshua made. It's super important to understand that behind every ghost employee, there is basically organized crime. There are people who are benefiting from these salaries. The employee might be a fake employee, but the money being paid to them is real, and the bank account it is going to is also real. What we've seen in the committee is it takes collusion. It takes at least 3 people to collude together to create a ghost employee. One person can't do it on their own. So this is not an administrative error. It's
corruption.
It's full-on corruption. It is syndicated, and we believe that it might even be the tip of the iceberg for corruption in the state, because surely the people who are creating these ghost employees are probably also busy with some other corruption in the state. So it is really important that investigations and prosecution and people being put in jail follows when you find these ghost employees. I think to just come back to, why is biometrics not just being used, and why is there no simple solution to this? You have to look at the nature of how people are employed in the state. Every single state department, which really is a lot. I mean, you have to consider that the public service is probably around 1.7 million people. It's 17% of people employed in the country who work for the state in some form or another. So it's a big exercise. It's a big ecosystem, and they are all employed independently in their departments. And there has been up to now no central human resource management system, no digital solution to check through all of this data. And that's really what we are pushing for. We're saying if you work for the state, your details must be drawn into a central human resource management system, which must be able to verify your existence, your bank account's existence, if you are receiving more than one salary, so that we can root out this corruption in the state.
Well, it's going to be important for us to follow up on that. Your portfolio committee has already said, and you've committed yourself to taking action, both in terms of money recovery and criminal action as ghost employees are found. As you've stated, this is a matter of corruption, not just a matter of maladministration or administrative errors. And so as the parliamentarians that are on this, we are hoping and will be expecting some results from your side. But thank you so much, Jan De Villiers from the Portfolio Committee for Public Administration in Parliament, just for breaking that one down for us.